Hey, buddy.
Hey. Good morning.
Dun, 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 dun.
Go Irish! Yes, sir. National championship.
Yeah,
It's gonna be amazing.
that game's gonna be
I hope it's
a
a
good game. What do you think?
Well, it matters very little about Notre Dame. It's just what Ohio State shows up. If the
Which team?
If the Ohio State that absolutely crushed Oregon and Tennessee shows up,
Yes.
we're done. We're cooked. Like we are. Those two games showed they are the best team in the country.
They're really good, yeah.
When they play like it.
Yeah.
But then you can look at other games they played, like Texas and Nebraska and Michigan, and they're beatable. So,
Yeah. Well, and there's also that thing, what is it, the luck of the Irish?
yes, sir.
I don't know if you saw that strange pass thrown across the field that was intercepted. I'm sure you did.
I did. I was
Why did he throw that?
flabbergasted.
Why did he throw that?
No idea.
That was wild.
Well, for those that might not know, I was actually at the Penn State Notre Dame game, which was a pretty cool story. There's a family friend who has Orange Bowl luxury box tickets, corporate tickets that he had, and so he called my dad and said, "Hey, they're free to me. They're free to you. Take them."
Yeah.
And so we got to go to the luxury box.
Right. Well, we addressed this last week on the front end.
Right.
And how you called Greg and you called me and just to let us know.
Yeah. You guys thought you were coming.
For a split second.
But the experience was incredible. So
what kind of food did they have in the box?
Oh, crazy food. Crazy food. It was like
lobsters on ice?
there were no, you know what? There was no lobster. They had grilled octopus in the
Did they really?
Yeah. At the like, cause you could go out of our club box and there's another club box, and like one of the guys told me, he's like, "Man, they got grilled octopus over there.
That'd be delicious."
I was like, "Oh,
it's good."
No,
you don't like calamari?
I am never eating an octopus. They got little suckers, man. What if one of those things sticks to your throat on the way down? Just
yeah. Come
on. How do you get that out? It's just stuck.
Tequila, I think.
No.
So what did you have in your suite? What did you?
So it opened at 5:30. Games at 7:30. So we got there.
Oh, I'm sure.
To parking. Our parking pass was front row. We parked in the front row of the stadium, like right up front, like gosh. Right there. And so we walked right in. We got there right at 5:30, so we could experience everything.
Take advantage of.
And so from 5:30 to 7, they just had appetizers. They had like popcorn and homemade potato chips and chicken wings and like mozzarella sticks and like appetizer stuff. Open bartender. We had 3 people. So it's like a box with like 60 people in it, right?
Yeah.
And everybody can just buy tickets into it. So we were outnumbered probably 5-1. There's like 10 Notre Dame people, and we all huddled together. And the other like 50 are Penn State. And we were in the Penn State section. So above and below us is all Penn State. So we're surrounded.
Yeah, I didn't think about how that would work out.
Yep. And so that was the appetizer portion. Then at the first quarter, they brought out like meal stuff, and so we had like encrusted prime rib, roasted duck.
Oh no way! Like it was like high end.
Yes. And like something potatoes. I can't even pronounce something vegetables like a la gratin. I don't know all this. I don't. It was fancy. So anyways, like
au gratin potatoes are not fancy.
I don't know the words, French words. But anyways, so there's like 3 rows of leather seats. There's like a break area, like a walking area, and then there were like tables. And so yeah, like Dad's back there like cutting his little prime rib with a knife and fork. And I was like, this is not stadium food. So I actually left then there was like a food court for just the club people. And so like I walked over there and like corn dog. Well, I was like, I want a burger. I want a
Yeah.
burger and fries. And so like it ended up being like $30 or whatever. It was like a Wagyu beef, but like it was still fancy.
Gourmet burger.
Yeah, and like fries with like green stuff sprinkled on. I don't even know what the green stuff was, but like I came back to the box with that, and like Dad was like, "We got all this free food." And I was like, I want a burger and fries. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And like 2 other guys came up to me. They're like, where'd you get that burger?
that?
And I was like, I paid for it, But then after, like at halftime, they brought out like kind of Mexican food. So it was like taquitos and empanadas and, stuff like that. And then like towards the end, they brought out like a whole dessert bar. And it was like all these different cookies and brownies. And then all these little shooters of, like a cheesecake or parfait or
yes.
yeah. And so in the bar it wasn't like because I don't drink, but my dad and his friends and all them were but it wasn't just like beer or wine. Like they were drinking
cocktails.
They were drinking like old fashions and all this kind of stuff. Dad was drinking Irish whiskey and
One percenters.
Yeah, that was crazy. But then the game was unbelievable.
Oh man.
So I mean, the experience was fun, but then the game was unbelievable. Because like I'll admit, at halftime I was like, ugh, not looking good, And then like we came out of the half and then that game-winning field goal. I haven't shown you the video, have I?
No, not from your angle.
Okay, so like yeah, I gotta show that to you at some point. Everybody could hear it. You want to put it on the podcast?
Sure.
I'll come over to your mic.
Just use yours.
Well, but then you can't see it.
Well, I can clip it in.
How do you do that?
The wonders of technology.
So you're just gonna put the video in
Yeah.
so everybody can see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how do we do it? We'll do it at the end.
We'll do it after.
Okay. Post edit. Do you want to hear it though? For all
I
those
do
that
want to
aren't
hear
gonna-
it. Yes, I definitely want to hear it.
Here, I'll come over to your mic.
Okay, come on over. Oh, those seats are so sweet. It's loud.
Oh yeah. Listen to how quiet it is when the kick goes up because we're in the Penn State section.
Oh, right.
Hugging all of
Oh
them.
my gosh.
Yes! Oh my God! Let's go!
Oh man. I'm telling you what, that is an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah, everybody
Really?
said that, at church. They were like, what a Notre Dame year for you.
Yeah, no kidding.
To get to go to fantasy camp.
Maybe
and
that's
then
why
go
they're
to the
doing
game.
so well.
I think so. Yeah. But yeah, it was awesome. And the kids stayed up, not Beckett, but so right as
I'm
the kick
sure.
went through, Joe FaceTimed me.
Yeah.
And all 3 of the older ones are like jumping up and down.
Oh, you didn't hit decline? You took the call.
No, it was pretty cool because I got to turn the camera around and show them the confetti
Oh,
coming
yeah.
down and the players like celebrating
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so yeah, it was awesome.
Then you came back to reality.
Yeah. Well, yeah, my flights were canceled on Friday and all
yeah.
that because I was going through Atlanta. And so they
Right.
had that ice storm.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't get back till Saturday.
Yeah, the weather's been wild. It feels like a heat wave today.
Yeah. But it's crazy. All the snow and stuff's been south of us.
I know.
Yeah, we're doing this on Thursday, and it's like I almost want to put shorts on.
It's going to be 50 degrees today.
I know.
Yeah.
Be out suntanning.
I know. I mean, we're going to Dallas, tonight.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it be zero degrees now, as opposed to Sunday
Gorgeous. Yeah.
and Monday
Yeah.
that we're walking back into?
Yeah,
It's
you
gonna be
guys are
brutal.
going to a game. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's kind of the same.
Yeah. Is Luca even playing?
No.
Or is he still? Oh, that
No,
sucks.
no. We watched them last night. play the Pelicans, and Luka didn't play, and I don't think Kyrie played. So, but the Thunder, they're stacked. They've got like a really good team. So, and you know what? Like, we're not fans of either team really, anyway.
Oh, I thought Cam was a fan of Dallas. That's why you're going.
No. This is one of his Christmas presents. The idea was to like take him to his first NBA game.
Okay.
And Sarah was like, well, like Boston or Chicago. I was like, no. Think warmer.
Yeah.
I don't want to go somewhere cold to watch a game, And so we just like, well, Dallas is good.
Yeah.
Thunder.
Two great teams.
Yeah. Ideally, unless people get injured. But
yeah.
So we're going to go down there. And,
still going to see Shy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. Did you see? There's a video. Well, anyway, those guys were clowning one of the.
We can talk sports.
We can talk
all
sports.
day.
Exactly. Yeah. We can talk about other manly stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I saw you shared that picture of Hudson. We all got a Christmas present from the Coles.
So yeah, we need to talk about this. So for those of you that don't know, we have a new person on staff, Lisa Cole. She's been on for about 6 months now. And she is absolutely hysterical. If you don't know Lisa Cole, you are missing out. And she cracks us up every day. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that makes us laugh so hard, and because he doesn't listen, well, maybe he does. I don't know. We'll find out.
I don't think he does.
Is she tells us tons of stories about her husband, Chad, that he would be so embarrassed that we all know. And we just laugh and laugh and laugh. And one of them is that she was telling us before Christmas that he lays in bed and watches TV, but he has these special glasses, these prism glasses, so that he can lay flat in bed. Mm-hmm. And not like have to sit up, and watch. And you can lay flat, and it's got like a little like periscope thing, so that you can just see the TV. And she showed us pictures of him in bed wearing these, and we were dying laughing. And so for Christmas, she gave all the staff one of them, and oh my gosh, right? She gave them to us at a staff meeting, or at our Devo time.
Yeah.
And so, like, right away, I put them on, and I was laying down on the couch, and, like, I could lay flat and hold the book, like, on my belly and, like, see it perfectly and read it. And...
Well, you're almost to the point where you could hold the book on your belly and not need those glasses.
Shut your mouth. It was all free food, Aaron.
It's been cold out. You got to pack it on. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm staying warm for hibernation.
Right.
People do come up to me and say, like, I am so sorry that Aaron fat shames you on the
they don't.
podcast. Yes, they
Nobody
do.
says that.
Two people do.
Really?
Yeah.
Describe them.
People that care about me.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Just generally speaking, though.
I'm not going to let you badger them, because you're going to go and find them and be like, no, you should shame him because he needs to get in shape.
I shame because I care.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I need to get in shape. But anyways, and we all got these prism glasses. And so so was it last night? Yeah, last night. I sent a picture out of my son Hudson wearing them while he was reading his books last night.
So cute, by the way.
Yeah.
Such a cute picture.
He loves it because he lays in
he's
bed
a big
at night
reader.
and
That
reads.
kid loves
He's a
to
big
read.
reader.
Yeah.
And he loved being able to sit down and lay back and read. Mm-hmm. And right after that, Aaron puts up a picture of Sarah in bed wearing the glasses, and totally against her knowledge. And so I cannot wait for her to find out.
Well, she doesn't even know I took the picture, period.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this will be so fantastic. So everyone that listens to the podcast on Sunday, when you see Sarah Bressman, make sure you go up to her and say, I saw that picture of you wearing those prism glasses in bed. That is so neat.
Yes.
And let's just see how big of trouble we can get Aaron
Let's do that. Yeah.
And this will be so much fun.
And then Sarah and I will book up all of Justin's open.
And then if anyone has a couch at their house that Aaron can sleep on. But yeah, everybody go up to Sarah and say, Aaron put up that picture of you.
Oh, she's going to be so mad.
Yeah. All the staff saw it.
Yep.
What if we were to drop it on the big screen on Sunday?
I don't think we should do that.
Like I could find a way to work it into the sermon, like these prism glasses, and here's an ad for the prism glasses. I'll just throw it up.
Well, and you're preaching about the fall, so it's perfect. Because I will be falling out of favor with my wife.
Yeah. Then I'll say it's an ad, and so like everybody will think it's just an ad,
Yeah, right.
but we'll know.
Oh
that's
no,
Sarah.
oh, she would be so mad. She doesn't like pictures. She's one of those doesn't like there's never a good picture of her.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually like when we'll take a selfie if we go do something fun, like go to a Chiefs game or whatever. And then I'll post it and then I'll crop almost every bit of her out.
Right.
Maybe like just a corner of her eye.
Yeah. It's because she doesn't like the picture.
She does not. Well, it's because she doesn't want to be, she doesn't love posting on social media anyway, but she definitely doesn't want just like a bunch of pictures of her floating around. So
Does she
Perfect.
have social media?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you wouldn't even know, would you?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen her.
Are you wondering because like on my birthday, usually wives would post about their husband or anniversaries or, hey, you know what? Speaking of birthdays, your dog and my dog have the same birthday.
No way.
Maddie and Baxter. Yeah.
They're January 14th babies?
Oh, January 14th. I missed somebody's birthday. My cousin. Shoot.
But you remembered your dog.
Well, no, I didn't remember the dog. She did because she texted the family.
So how old is Baxter? Maddie's 5.
I think he's 8 or 9.
Okay.
I think he's 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Joe loves that dog, man.
Clearly.
Because I was like 5. I was like, we're probably like halfway through with her. And Joe was like upset. He was like, do not talk like that in front of her. And I was like, she can't understand.
Or can she?
What Joe says that all the time. Because Maddie will like get up off her bed and like, I'm like, oh, come on, Tubby. And she's like, don't talk to her like that. And I'm like,
Are you telling me you fat shame your dog?
yes. She can't understand. And Joe is like, she can sense what you're saying. And I'm like, I'll say it in a happy tone. And I'll be like, hey, Chubby Wubby.
That's right. Then they don't get it at all.
Yeah. And she's like, how dare you? Like, she can tell that you're calling her bad name. Like, Joe worries that I am giving her a complex.
And
it's a dog.
How is it playing out? Is she skipping meals?
No.
She begging less?
No, not at all.
So it's working about the same as my fat shaming of you?
Yes. It just puts me deeper into my spiral.
It's too late.
Eat because I'm sad,
I'm
and
too
I'm
far
sad
gone
because I eat.
I have a little bit of a weight problem.
Me and the dog. That's us.
Oh my goodness.
Speaking of dogs, yeah, the sermon. Maddie got some airtime in the sermon.
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That if things get tight, she's gone. It was funny because Joe posted that about the dog, its birthday, and I think it was Becky Jesurit's posted. Well, I hope she's like comfortable because if things get tight, we already know she's
We know
the first to
who's
go. So, yep. But
yeah. It's hard. It is hard though. Like just to think about how much of a in the family they are, and when people lose pets, it's definitely difficult.
yeah, and I mean, like truthfully, yeah, she's dogs make it to usually what 12, 14.
Yeah, big dogs 12, 14. Yeah, little dogs longer.
Right.
Yeah, so
Baxter will be around forever.
Baxter and Lexi. Yeah, they'll be overeating snacks and getting diarrhea. That was this week.
Oh, good.
Because what happens is Sarah will get on the phone, and as soon as she gets on the phone or a Zoom call or something and she starts talking, they start giving her all kinds of trouble and grief.
So she gives them snacks.
Yes, to shut them up.
Yes.
And so she had a busy day of calls the other day, and she just kept throwing snacks at them. And what do you know? They had upset stomachs. Yeah. Not made in his image, those dogs.
No.
Not.
No, only us.
That's right. Only us. And here we are.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we're in week 2 of Genesis. And I I feel like I say this every time, but I'm going to say it again. I've been so excited for this series. You know, I knew this was coming, and I knew, you know, what we would be talking about. And I just think it's awesome every once in a while to get back to, like last week, creation, to this week talk about, you know, made in his image. What does that mean? How does that have implications for our lives? And so that's what's so neat is, I mean, when you step back and think about it, because the part of the sermon that we just didn't have time to get into is, what does God look like? If we're made in his image, what does that literally mean? If we're made in his likeness, what does that literally mean? And the reason I didn't go into it is because there's no one on earth who knows with certainty. Like, there are great theologians that surmise this and you know, talk about God would probably look like this or that, you know, like, but until God says, this is what I look like. The closest we have is that God reveals to Moses that there was a conversation within the Trinity, which is so cool, that they go, let's make man in our own image and in our own likeness. And so in some way, shape, or form, we're in his likeness. I don't know what that means, but it's cool. And he takes the dirt, he molds it into shape, he breathes the breath of life into it, makes the man, and then he goes, yep, he needs a helper. So he makes the man fall asleep, opens up his rib, takes one of them ribs, and makes Eve. Which, once again, I didn't get into all that, because it's like, okay, you only have 20 minutes, you know?
Right.
Like, just how he made man and what the implications of the woman comes from the side. You know, a lot of people make a big deal of that, or, you know, but he does. And when we look at how that plays out in our lives, it means that every single person, no matter their race, no matter their economic status, no matter if they're third world, first world, no matter if they're Muslim, Christian, no matter if they're incredibly strong and healthy or weak and vulnerable and feeble, you know, or handicapped, or, you know, anything, that all of us have dignity and worth because we're made in the image of God, and we are his image bearers to all of creation. And we talk about that, you know, that throughout all of creation and, you know, the vast universe and in this tiny little solar system on this tiny little third rock from the sun, he puts the crown jewel, the pinnacle of all creation, the ones that would bear his image to everyone. And that's us. And so when we understand the implications of that all life is sacred, all life has incredible worth and dignity, that God puts a soul into every single being, that it's gonna impact the way we treat the world and the way we look at the world. And the first big reality is about the respect of life. And so we got into abortion, pretty heavy, but it's something that we have to talk about. You know, that I know while lots of people believe that politically it's a debatable subject, if you look at it spiritually, it's not very debatable at all. I mean, there's nothing in the Bible that would support ending life because the mother doesn't want it, ending life because that it's an inconvenience or anything like that. And people bring up the 0.1% things, you know, like, what if the mother's life is in jeopardy? What if the baby's life isn't viable? And, you know, and all these things. And and I'll say this, even as the church would say that there's an allowance for that, it doesn't mean that doesn't come with consequences on your heart and your soul. Like that I mean, no matter what, it's the ending of a life. And even when the life isn't what's the word I'm trying to say, viable, and even when the mom's life is in jeopardy, it's still a gut-wrenching, awful thing that happens. And it's because of the sin and the brokenness in this world, and it's heart-wrenching. But to just think that, like, there's certain times we can, And what we understand is this, that, the argument of, well, it's dependent, like the baby needs the mother. Well, okay, lots of people are dependent. And it doesn't mean you can just kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if something is true, it has to be true all the way around. And you can't sit there and tell me that we have to protect osprey eggs and turtle eggs when they're not viable, when they can't live on their own. But yet a human life is different. We are higher than them.
Mm-hmm.
We are more valuable than them. And so that's where I was pointing out that science is on the side of Christianity, and you don't have scientists out there going, "Oh, it's not life." I mean, we're learning how to do surgeries in the womb on babies because we know their life. We're learning how to, scientists are studying the womb and the baby in the womb because they understand that it's life, that there's something incredible that happens, that baby has its own DNA, it has its own blood type, it has its own heart, lungs, brain. It's an independent life. And just because something's dependent doesn't mean it doesn't have life. I tried to make that point, and I have found when I'm doing something heavier to put some humor in, it helps, because it just helps it, like a spoonful of sugar, like it just helps the medicine go down. And I put in there, like, what are you gonna do, kill me? Like, I'm dependent on my wife, I can't do anything without her. To just try and make the point that, like, that if something's true, it has to be true all the way around. And just because you're dependent on something, just because a handicapped kid is dependent, like, what would we say of a mother that, like, murdered her 16-year-old handicapped child because she said, well, he was dependent on me, so I have a right to end his life? Like, we'd be like, no, you have no right to do that, And in the same way, just because someone's dependent doesn't mean they have that their life can be stripped from them without being protected.
I was just reading Jeremiah 1.
Yep.
1 verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Lots of evidence all throughout Scripture that before we were in the womb, God created us, knew us, and had, it was all with intentionality.
Right.
It wasn't just accidental.
Right.
Much like the creation of everything wasn't some big accident. It's all with intention and all formed by God's own hands. And as you said, he breathed life into everything.
Yeah.
So.
And then with that, when we talk about not just abortion, but just the protection of life, that, we're not going to get to a point that when, the elderly are bedridden and just a money drain on us, that we, just get rid of them. That's dignity in life. That, I think of, like, we have two beautiful, wonderful kids with Down syndrome in our church, who truly embody what GraceHill is all about. You have Ellie, who's always at 8:00, who always starts the clapping after every song, who dances during the songs. And you have Des, who hugs every single person. Sometimes it's
Sometimes
smooching
kisses.
day. Sometimes it's a smooching day too.
Yeah. He got me good. He jumped. He does this thing where he'll jump into my arms.
Yes.
I was not ready for it.
Yeah.
I was not ready for Sunday. Just like almost like he did a side jump.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like a full
straight on.
Like all the limbs. Which is helpful for me because then at least
he's a big guy.
He's big, yeah. And so he did the side. Just like
he took you out.
Okay, no, it was good. It was good. Yeah, it was good. But they are truly the best of us.
Yeah. Hey, they have so much joy in life, and to say, and so we don't measure life by by the output, like how much are they going to contribute, how much are they going to learn, how much knowledge will they have, how much of a measuring stick of accomplishments will they have. Like, we don't measure life by that either. Like that their lives are more valuable than the greatest animal alive. And I said secretariat, I couldn't think of, but probably the most incredible horse.
Yeah.
You know, that was worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. You know, like and yet those lives are way more
Far
valuable.
more valuable. Yeah.
Hey, you know, and even the child stuck in bed, you know, born, you know, crippled and stuck in bed for whatever years they have on this earth, still more valuable than anything else.
The most valuable animal. Yeah.
Right, because we're above creation. We have dominion over. We are made in His image.
Yeah.
And then the you know, the next part of it is it's going to impact, you know, the way we treat one another. That just because someone has a different political party, just because someone has a different religion, just because someone has a different race or ethnicity or culture, it doesn't put any life above any other. You know, we live in a world where we see the implications of that still today with, you know, in places throughout the world. People are arrested, are enslaved, and killed because of their race and ethnicity.
Yeah.
Or their religious beliefs. You know, like you know, there's so many things that get swept under the rug. Like, you know, the Muslim group in China that's just been persecuted for years, and no mention of it. You know, in Africa, you know what Boko Haram and the Islamic terrorists are doing to the Christians in Nigeria and in parts of you know, like Sudan and stuff like that. You know, just wiping out and murdering all the men and enslaving all the women as you know, concubines. You know, and you can see it, you know, happening in the Middle East. You can see it happening, you know, and part of the Ukraine war was about this. You know, people don't like to talk about that, and we don't have to get all political, but anyone that actually cares to find out, like, what is actually happening in that war, because nothing about that war makes sense.
No.
If you look into it, you can see that in Ukraine, they're actually in Ukraine persecuting Christians. You know, that they're pushing Christians to the front line to be persecuted or to be conscripted into the military and forcing them to fight while they're not going after other groups and forcing them to fight. You can see that, you know, Ukraine was in the very far east of the country. You know, Russian citizens, you know, Russian descent people were being persecuted. And I'm not defending Russia in any way, shape, or form. Russia has a long list of atrocities it has done against people, its own people and other people. But I'm saying, like, we can look all over the world and we can see all these atrocities that are done because someone believes my color of my skin, my ethnic group, my religion, my race is above yours. I mean, look at the Holocaust. Look at, you know, like we've seen the, you know, you have Stalin, you have all these incredible murderers that have killed in the millions because they believed in, and we see it happening in Israel right now, you know, with, you know, Hamas believing that there are people less than, and some would argue that Israel sees the same, you know.
Sure.
But where what the Bible says is where the dignity of life as all created by God in His image is not respected, you will see atrocities like this.
Yeah.
And you know, like, how do we feel about third world countries? You know, if we're being honest, I think a lot of first world people look at third world countries and they see them living in you know, 50 years behind in technology and hygiene and, you know, all these kind of things, and think, oh, you know, these primitive people, and, you know, and yet God says we're all made in His image.
Disposable people, less value, if any, comparatively speaking.
Yeah. I think you take it a step further, and we got into kind of the sexual part of this with pornography and human enslavement and sex slavery, which I think is just one of the most appalling and disgusting things the more you look into it. Oh my gosh, was The Sound of Freedom, that movie. I such a painful movie to watch but so eye-opening for anyone that hasn't seen it. I would recommend it. It's about a guy that works for the government that's trying to rescue kids out of human trafficking, and it gives a very eye-opening, and it's hard to watch, but it does have good parts, a very eye-opening and sobering look at what's really happening right here in Nebraska, in Omaha. That we have children that are being used as commodities, like they don't have souls. That pornography, that we profit off of, both sides of it. The people that profit off it and the people that exploit it and use it and pay for it. You're treating a human being as if they have no soul, as if they're just a commodity, and you feast off of their despair and their abuse, and I don't care what the girl is saying in the video, or what she, like, you have no idea the abuse, the molestation, the rape, the horrific life that person has gone through to make them do something like that. No girl is choosing to be in that lifestyle. No little girl wants to be used and abused by men. And it goes both ways. There are men that are in the system too, and have been abused and hurt. But pornography is one of the fastest growing. I mean, now we have what's the website where you do it yourself? The OnlyFans. And I mean, the big market of that is the housewives and it's like regular people that just prostitute themselves out for money, and it's huge and growing. Like what did I read? The porn industry in America alone, this is not worldwide, in America alone, makes more profit than the NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL combined. That's how much the porn industry makes. And so clearly it's an unhealthy practice. And then when you talk about
a bad trend.
Yeah. And when you talk about the massive growth in it because of things like OnlyFans and the access that people have now. I mean, like on social media, it's interesting, like I talk to your middle schoolers that people give them phones and give them access. And I ask them, and like the girls are sitting there, and I'm going to use words, but like that they get pictures of, male parts, male genitalia sent to them within hours of starting an account. Like, and they're like, oh yeah, yeah. And I'm like, what? That immediately, the girls at school will say, boys are asking me for nude pics. Yeah. I get texted at least, a couple times a week asking if I'll give nude pics, if I'll give a topless pic, if I'll give like our boys are saturated by it. The average boy sees pornography for the first time at 11 years old. I mean, that's 5th grade, 6th grade. Yeah. That they are having their minds warped by this. They're having ED medication for men in their 20s because they've masturbated so much, sorry for the word, that they cannot be aroused by, regular
normal relations.
Yeah. And they're having to take ED medication in their 20s because they are so oversaturated with pornography. And it's horrific.
Yeah, it affects the interactions. It affects the actual day-to-day relations of people because the expectations are far different.
Right.
For
they
intimacy
grew up
and
believing
sexual relations.
This is what women are like. This is what women want. This is how women act. That all girls have this inside. Like it warps your mind to believe this is reality. And it's not. It's acting. And the poor 14, 16-year-old girls that are dating these boys and are being coerced into trying to live up to these expectations that the boys have. And that's why we gotta talk to our girls about have standards. We got to talk to our boys about this is not healthy for you. This is not good. This is not right.
And those are very uncomfortable and difficult conversations and discussions.
Right.
That you have to. I mean, I've had it with my 11-year-old son.
Well, and
I've
if
said,
you're
hey,
not going to have this conversation with them, who is?
right?
Who they have all the boys at school telling them, yeah, this is normal. Do this. They
yeah.
have all the world telling them, no, this is normal. Do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you just watch a regular sitcom on TV, and they make jokes about watching porn and,
Sure.
and masturbating. Like it's just this open thing that everybody does. That it's just this healthy practice. You know, if you're single, that's what you do. You know, and what we're finding, you know, like Elon Musk has been talking about this like crazy, but the massive decline in birth rates.
Yeah.
Like in Japan, one of the things they're not mentioning is one of the highest areas of pornography.
Yeah.
Like they have these massive declines in Korea, and they have that anime pornography that's so massive in those cultures. You know, and in different parts of America, certain areas, massive decline, and it's because people are just finding their own way to gratify themselves. They're not getting married. They're not engaging in relationships. They're not, you know, like the average age of getting married has moved back 10 years, you know, like, because people are just like, well, I'm fine. I got this. I don't need my sexual needs being met, you know, like, because I'm taking care of it myself. And it's destroying the fabric of society. Pornography is, and we have to speak against it.
Yeah.
And if we think the church is immune to this, that's a joke.
Well, I was going to say the same goes with you know, school systems. If you think that, you know, because you send your kids to a specific school in a specific part of town, or
Right.
or
True.
private schools,
Correct.
you know, they're not immune to it.
It was
It
interesting.
still happens.
Like I think it was like a year or two ago, I did a chapel at Concordia, middle school, high school, and I got into this.
Yeah.
And said, all you boys asking the girls in this room for nude pics and stuff like that, you know, like, how dare you, and that's wicked and that's wrong and all this kind of stuff. And I can't, maybe 24 girls at some point in the next week contacted me.
Yeah.
And said, thank you for saying
Yeah.
that. So if you think, and multiple teachers said, it's a problem here.
Yeah.
And if you think that, yeah, just because you send your kids to a Christian school, they're immune from that, absolutely not.
Right.
And if you're not going to talk about it, who is? Because when your daughter is sitting there and everyone is asking for them and everyone's hitting them up and their friends are giving them, and they're like, if all the world is doing it, then they're going, oh, I guess this is...
Yeah. I must be on the outside looking in.
Right.
Yeah, it's normal.
Right. And so we have to speak up against this. And, it is an image of God issue. That we are all created in his image and we all deserve dignity and respect. That we're not a piece of meat. We're not someone's commodity. We're not, you know, like I try and tell the girls in the youth group this, like, your job is not to you know, sexually satisfy your boyfriend. That is not why you were placed on this earth. It is, you have so much more worth than that.
Yeah.
And young men, your job in life is not to just be sexually satisfied all the time. Like that, there's a reason why pornography has levels, because eventually this level of stuff is not going to arouse you anymore. And so then you step it up, and then you step it up until you get to a point where it's so unhealthy and it's so, you know, outlandish.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to have your eyes open, just look at the Nebraska sex offender registry.
Yeah.
I mean, I will peruse that on occasion because I'm curious as to where people are living.
Yes.
You know, and you know who we're interacting with. It is a major issue.
Yeah.
And how does it get better? You know, how do we? Well, I don't know.
I think it starts with us. I think one of the cool things right now is we're seeing a very incredible revival happening in young men 18 to 25 in America. People can say whatever it is. A lot of it started with the Trump campaign. That age group became more conservative, and a lot of the conservative voices, or a lot of the biggest influencers in America have shifted conservative. And I'm not saying Republican.
Sure.
I'm saying conservative.
Yeah.
And have started having conversations of faith in the highest levels. That, like something like a Joe Rogan podcast that gets, millions of views. And he has someone like Wes Huff on there like a week or two ago.
Yeah.
That you have Elon Musk talking about it. You have Jordan Peterson talking about faith. And boldly talking about faith.
Yeah.
Now, he's not all the way there. There's some things in those...
Yeah.
But he's investigating.
He's on a journey right now, for sure.
And so many of these large influencers are on their own spiritual journey, investigating things.
Yeah.
And what they've seen in America over the last 6 months to a year is this rapid growth in the men 18 to 25 in conservatism and interest in faith. And it's unbelievable.
You look at the two teams that are playing Monday. Both Ohio State players and Notre Dame players have been very outspoken about their faith.
Very.
Using their success and their platform to
Texas, after they
Texas
lost,
too.
had multiple
Even
guys
after they lost,
with incredible testimonies
Yeah.
stand up on a public scale to say it. I mean, you're seeing young men, which is the hope.
Yeah.
Because we know the statistics that, if a child comes to church by themselves, they have like a 70% retention rate. If the mom brings the children to church, it's like a 30-something retention rate. If the father brings the family to church, it's like an 80-something% retention rate. And men leading their families, men leading their girlfriends, men leading their selves towards faith and Christianity. And I'm not attributing this all to Trump. Trump is not the savior. I don't want to get that comment later. Trump needs a spiritual journey as well. But I do think his campaign, one of the numbers that really impacted it was young men.
Yeah.
Conservatism. And like just this week, after this sermon, I got a text from a young man in that age group, and he was talking about going out to lunch with another young man in our church in that age group. And he sent me a text just about how much he appreciates the sermon that I gave and what I talked about and how I talked about it and the impact that it makes on him. And like that, I mean, I got all teary-eyed reading it because I was just like, this is the age group that for a decade now, people have said is the hardest group to reach. Young men in their 18s to 20s, and yet we have young single men in that age group coming to GraceHill that are hungry for this, that are growing in this, that are changing and transforming, and that's the hope, is that as we have these young ladies growing up in our church and saying, okay, you're calling out all these men, where are these men that I can find?
Right.
I pray to God we're raising them up, so that we can't see people following God, and as the father of two girls, and I'm sure you're the same. There's multiple boys in our church that I'm like, oh man, I hope my girls find a girl, find a young man like this, sure. Not a young man like that over there, like this,
Yeah.
And so it's important. And when we talk about the dignity of life, that's a huge part of our culture that's destroying it. It's the pornography, the prostitution, the strip clubs, just treating people like a commodity. And when you step back and look at it, it's disgusting and appalling. So
it's a sad trend. And, just like anything else, the technology that is developed and created to improve our lives and provide for us things that we could not have dreamed of 20, 30, 40 years ago is now a vehicle for sin and destruction and a way to tear apart human fabric and families and everything else. And it's only going to be more so that way, which is why it's just important for places of worship, for worship communities to speak truth into young people's lives, to encourage them, to enable them to be a part of the church, for them to understand that they have a role and value within a worship community. It's not just like, oh, it's my parents' church, my grandparents' church. That's the thing that I love. In going back to what you were saying about some of the young single males that are at GraceHill, look at the people they get to be around. This multi-generational worship. It's pretty incredible. There are some great examples of godly men who are doing things really, really well.
Yeah.
And to continue to bring those people together, I think is just a huge win for what we can do in this community for the sake of families, birth rates, safety and security of women as well.
And the last piece that we just touch on real quick is just how men and women treat each other. And we talked about singlehood and in married relationships, that men need to understand that they got to push against, the stereotypes that your woman is, like in the workplace, women are not intellectually inferior, and they're not, they're to be treated with equal dignity and respect that in a marriage that we honor and respect our wives. They're not just here for our sexual gratification and our to serve us and make us comfy. Like they're co-heirs in the kingdom. In the same way, I talked about women like not treating all men like they're dumb Neanderthals. Like that there's this connotation out there that we're just stupid and helpless. And okay, and are we? I think men are a lot like pickup trucks. They both drive straighter with a heavy weight on their shoulders. Like men do better when I can tell you, I am such a better man the day I got married, when I had a purpose and a reason and accountability and like I'm a better man. But to think that you see these marriages where like the woman treats the man like a child. And it's celebrated within Hollywood, like it's always, deemed that way and stuff like that. Sure. And it's like, no, that's emasculating, and that's a man. That he has God-given abilities and gifts and made in God's image, and he has his role and you have your role. And when both are doing their roles well, like it's a beautiful picture. Yeah. And that we got to push against these stereotypes and we got to build each other up. And treat each other with that dignity and that respect. So
back to the main point, which is we're all made in the image of God. We all have value, and you get cut off in traffic, that person has value.
Right.
Somebody skips the line at the grocery store. They all have value.
It was funny. We have a friend. And she was telling me that right after the sermon, she had a friend text her to say that her boyfriend had broken up with her, and she heard the sermon before she responded, and she was like, "Before I would have been like, he's so like beep beep beep, like not beep beep beep, but like he's so this and this and this and this." And she was like, and she had texted me, Sunday morning. I went to church, and afterwards, my response was so different.
Yeah,
of just like like I'm sorry, and we don't know what he's going through, and maybe like it was just this very different response.
Yeah,
and she was like, because I was thinking in the back of my head while you were preaching, like he's made in the image of God.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to assume that, like he's the worst person ever. I'm going to, and I think that's the practice. Okay. There's one person that it clicked for, like, okay, I'm going to treat people with that dignity. And I think we miss all the ways that we can do that in our lives.
Well, for sure. And I think, we're called to pray for our enemies. That's the one thing that I just don't infuse in my prayer life.
Yeah.
I don't do a good job of praying for my enemies, but, that's a good reminder that even the people who you think are against you or trying to harm you or whatever, they need prayer. And why do they need prayer? Well, because they're children of God, just like you. So,
All right.
On to Cain and Abel. No, I'm sorry, the fall.
The fall,
yeah,
and then Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fall this week. So that'll be interesting.
It will be indeed.
What songs do you have for the fall?
I got some great ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fire and brimstone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another in the fire.
We're doing that.
Burning with me.
And we're actually doing that song.
Are you? Yes. I haven't even looked at the list yet.
We are. We're doing that one, and we're doing I saw Satan fall like lightning.
Oh,
My
yeah.
testimony.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing that one. That's
Okay.
a closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Into the darkness you shine, out of the ashes we rise. Little old school Tomlin.
Man. There's that one, and it's a secular song, but there's that. Wow, I gotta think of the words of that song. There's a whole song about Adam and Eve, but it's like a secular song. It's pretty interesting.
Huh.
He writes a song. It's like back from my emo days. What was that? What do you call that genre? Like when I was living in Austin, there was like all these like singer songwriters with these like really deep songs. Just a guitar. What do you call that genre?
I don't know.
I don't know what you call it. But anyways, I've saved the song because he writes this song from the perspective of Adam.
Yeah.
Right after Eve took the bite and she's holding it out to him, and he's contemplating, I know I'm not supposed to, but she's the apple of my eye. Like
Okay.
I'd rather go through this life in sin with her than go through this life without her.
Okay, you're gonna need to find this.
It's a really good song.
Huh.
It's probably not even that well known, but I just remember being in the Austin music
not.
scene, and I remember that song. But I've never stopped and thought, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that this week. It's
Yeah.
just like there was that split second that Adam had to say, like, do I go with God or do I go with her?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going with her.
Going with her.
It's hard.
It's gonna get spicy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every week you're pretty much in a routine of saying, I'm going to step on some toes this week.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen this week?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Here we go.
Go Irish.
Go Irish.
Everybody.
All right.
God bless.
You too.